Hi, I'm Arron Oberholser for XE1 Wedge, and I really want to take this opportunity to thank you all for purchasing the XE1 Wedge, and I hope you're using it well, and I hope you're having a lot of fun with it. We have fun shooting these videos for you, and we hope that you're learning something through these videos and with the XE1 Wedge. And in that, I want to say a big thank you, and my thank you to you is I'm going to give you a drill that turned me in 2003 into the #1 pitcher of the ball. I was #1 around the greens on the PGA Tour in 2003 as far as scrambling was concerned. I was #2 in bunker play on the PGA Tour. And this is the one drill that got me to that level. So I call it 18. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to take 9 golf balls, and you want to give yourself 9, you want to find anything around the green, I'd say within probably 30 or 40 yards of the green, and you want to give yourself 9 different shots. And you want to go to 1 flag stick, okay? And the goal is to get 18. You want to get the ball up and down. Now, most of the time, I don't have the time to do this today, but you were going to want your wedge, your XE1 wedge, your 65-degree XE1 wedge, and you're going to want your putter. And from there, you're going to place the balls in strategic spots, in 9 different spots. And then from there, you're going to pick your pin, and you're going to go around going through your entire routine and pretending like you're actually playing a match against your buddies, or you've got a club game. You're going to hit every shot as if you're in a game situation, and you're going to try to putt it out. And you're going to see at the end exactly what your score would be, okay? So I'm going to pick, let's make it hard. I'm going to pick this front right pin right here, and I'm going to go to every ball, and that's exactly the pin that I'm going to go to for all 9 balls. Okay, so now we start with, roughly I'd say a 30-yard shot. All right, so I'm going to go through, I've gone through my routine, and I'm ready to hit it with the 65-degree XE1 wedge.
Remember, you can, this is fat, that whole thing.
All right, there's a 2. Now, let's move to the next one. We'll go over here. Now here's a different shot. Now I've got a tighter pin, much more difficult than I just had. It's kind of a fuzzy little lie sitting down a little bit on a down slope, and I've got to go over this bunker. Really scary shot for most amateurs. So for here, I'm going to set my XE1, I'm going to set my shoulder to the slope of the hill, and I'm just going to try to pop it over. And this shot right here, I tell you what, 8, 10, 12 feet is a good shot. Now, because I don't have the time to walk up there and putt them all out, what you would do is you'd go putt that, you'd go mark it, you'd go through your putting routine, you'd putt that out, and you'd come back to the next ball. And you don't have to do these balls in any particular order. Whatever order you want to do them in, you do them in. The fact of the matter is that you get 9 shots with 9 good routines, and that you put your mind in a game situation so that you can learn how to use this wedge properly, and you get better with this wedge. That's the whole point. Okay, so with this, now obviously with this shot right here that you can see with the downhill lie, the lie's kind of scruffy. That's what this wedge was designed for, right here with this sole. Most people would blade this or fat it into the bunker or blade it over the green. With the XE1, because of its auto glide sole, you can go ahead and get after the ball with confidence that neither of those things are going to happen. Wait forward on your left foot so you get good contact. Don't need that big of a swing because you're actually on a downslope, which is actually de-lofting the club. Don't forget to have speed at the bottom. Do not slow down at the bottom of this swing. And just as I predicted, that was a tough shot. That's actually about 15 feet, but still not bad from that lie. Now we'll go over here. We've got a scruffy thin line in the rough. Again, really look at this. This is terrible, kind of sitting in a hole. Got a corner of the bunker to go over, and even less green to work with than the shot before. Same thing applies. Ball's above my feet, I'll choke up on the club a little bit, trust the auto glide sole with the XE1, and make the swing. Even off that tight lie, firm ground underneath, I was still able to get that ball up and stop it within 10, 12, 15 feet of the flag and give myself a chance for par. Now let's go into the bunkers. I've got a long bunker shot, I've got a close bunker shot, and then I've got one that I'm going to bury, that I didn't get a chance to bury yet. So this one, actually, this one's a little bit buried right now, so let's get this one in a normal lie, not buried. You're most likely not gonna bury back in a bunker. So again, bunker shots with the 65-degree XE1. For me, ball's a little bit forward, maybe 2 balls back of left foot, 1-2 balls front of middle, to maybe middle at most. Okay, obviously with this one, you're gonna wanna get it up quicker, so you wanna play it more forward, get your weight on your left-hand side. Remember, huge with the XE1 in the sand, huge, huge, huge. And even for that matter, anywhere around the green. Do not open the blade. I can't stress it enough. Do not open the blade. This club is designed to be made very simple for you guys, so you don't have to worry about opening the blade. Just go ahead and take your normal grip, normal stance, maybe open your stance just a shade, square with the blade, and go ahead, swing the club. That one caught the downslope and is running. Not bad, I'll take it. All right, now on to this one. We'll go ahead and bury this one. Woo! That's a fried poached egg, which is worse than just a fried egg. So this one is really nasty. This one, now you need to get steep with the XE1 wedge. Again, this is where that auto glide sole is fantastic. But this, how big this thing is, you're gonna get down in that sand, and that thing is gonna help this thing just propel right out of the sand and onto the green. It wouldn't even be bad if you just popped it onto the fringe and let it run. This green does go away from you. So again, on the upslope, ball more towards the middle of the stance, square with the club face, and you got to get steep with this one. So you want to pick it up a little quicker down the line and just pop it out. Good speed at the bottom. Stick the club. Don't want to try to follow through. You just want to stick it into the ground right behind the ball. And that one is most definitely going to come out with overspin every time. But again, I'll take it. All right, now on to this close one. Now by all intents and purposes, this is a pretty easy bunker shot. It's a pretty simple bunker shot. You're on the upslope. You don't have a lot of green to work with, but because you're on the upslope, the ball is going to have a tendency to pop up. So you can want to use the upslope to your advantage to get the ball up quicker and land it softer. So from here, the one thing you're going to do, there's 2 different ways to play this shot. You can play it with level shoulders and stick the club in the ground. That's more of a tougher technique for most professionals would do that if you're going to kind of play a touch shot. For amateurs, I like the ball just about a ball or 2 front of middle, okay? And then set your shoulders to the slope of the hill and then swing up the slope, catching the sand an inch or so behind the ball. Again, you don't need a big swing. Let the auto glide sole do the work for you. Almost made that one. That's going to be another 2. So from here, now we got to go over here. So how many balls we got out there? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 3 more holes. So this one, now you got some green to work with these next shots, okay? You got some green to work with. This one's a pretty basic pitch shot. But again, you don't want to take anything for granted. This one you're going to want to pop on the green, maybe in the middle of your stance, back of your stance with the 65-degree XE1. Don't be afraid to take some turf. So many people are afraid they're going to stick it in the ground. You cannot stick this club in the ground. Don't worry about it. That's what the auto glide sole is for. I'm going to place this one farther back in my stance. I'm going to have my hands forward. And I'm basically going to make a nice arm swing and let the ball release. Pitch the ball onto the green and let it release to the hole. Not my best. That one chewed up pretty good, but not too bad. That's still makeable. So now we go on to this one. Most of you recognize this, I would assume, after a bad iron shot or a bad drive. You're kind of on the edge of the grass and the desert here, as we have up at Desert Forest, where it's pretty nasty, but you found yourself with a okay lie, kind of muddy, wet. There's no better spot than I could think of for this, for the 65-degree XE1, with the Auto Glide sole. Now this is where people get into a lot of trouble with their conventional wedges. Real easy to stick the conventional wedge in the ground, real easy to blade this across the green. Trust the Auto Glide sole, trust the XE1, and go ahead and set up. Now it's the downslope, ball's below my feet. I don't have to choke down on the club so much. I use the club from its normal length, bend my knees a little bit more, set my shoulders to the slope of the hill so I can swing with the slope. Maybe the ball's a little bit farther back in my stance. And go ahead, don't be afraid to take some turf too with this shot behind it, because you can see that dirt, that kind of muddy dirt. Take some turf. Go ahead and actually play this like a sand shot and hit it just a little bit purposely fat. Don't try to be so perfect with it. Let the XE1 Auto Glide sole do its job. All right, so there's another two. Not bad, and that was a tough shot. I'll tell you what, that would be really, really difficult. As soft and as nasty as that lie was, it'd be really difficult, even though the ball was lying clean, to get a clean shot on that with a conventional wedge. All right, over to our last ball. Very basic pitch shot. Lots of green to work with though. Some of the most basic pitch shots, funny enough, bother the professionals the most, because we work real hard on some of the most the fancy pitch shots where you've got to do funny things with the club and open the club up, create a lot of speed. And like the Phil flop, the Tiger flop, where you see that huge golf swing and the thing goes right up the elevator shaft. This is the basic stuff that kind of bothers us every once in a while, because we know we should hit this within 3 feet, 4 feet at worst from this distance. Basic, straight uphill, a lot of green to cover. With the XE1 65 degree, if you feel comfortable using it, and you should feel comfortable using the 65 degree even from this length, I'm going to show you an easy way to use it. It's almost the same way as we used it there. Ball back in the stance, hands ahead, and you're going to make a nice shoulder swinging motion, and you're going to go ahead, don't go ahead and put it on the green some distance. You don't have to just pop it on the green. You can put this on some distance and let it release to the hole. Don't be afraid to take some turf if you need to. The Auto Glide sole will save you if you get too steep on it. And I'll take that one too. Now you can see, as far back as I had it in my stance and as far ahead as my hands were, that's all that I could get into the turf, because this sole doesn't allow you to get any deeper than that. You can't hit it fat. It's virtually impossible. In fact, I would implore you to try to go ahead and hit it fat. Actually hit some purpose ones fat and see what happens to your ball. See how this sole, this Auto Glide sole, wants to stay right up on top of the surface and catch the ball as clean as humanly possible. It's awesome. Now, we just finished this 9-hole little thing. Not bad. My pattern's not great. I had some tough shots, no doubt. But I've got 4 up there, maybe 5 that I know I can make for par. I'd say another 4 that I would definitely have to work hard at putting, but that's not too bad. Work on this drill. See if you can get 18. See if you don't have to start with the toughest shots that I have, but give yourself 9 different quality shots around the greens that you find at your club and try to score 18. This is a great drill, and it helped me a lot when I was playing on the PGA Tour. So right now we're going to talk about what this XE1 wedge with the Auto Glide sole can do with a flop shot. I know a lot of you guys out there really struggle with this shot, especially something with like a bunker or maybe a little pond in your way where you've got 20 or so yards to carry and then a little bit of green to work with. Let me show you what this wedge can do. It's the 65 degree wedge can do from this lie. So before, when you would start maybe with your normal wedge, with your other wedge, you would have to open it up. Again, you would have to get really, really open, or you wouldn't understand how to do that, and you'd stand square at your wedge and you'd end up burying it into the bunker, or you'd end up blading it over the green because you weren't sure exactly how that particular club was going to get through the grass. You don't have to worry about with the XE1 wedge with the Auto Glide sole. It's going to get through the turf for you without any problems. Let me demonstrate really quick. You're going to go into the ball with your normal stance. You're going to set up just like you would any other shot. little narrower stance because you're pitching the ball. And the one thing that I see a lot of amateurs do wrong, they try to pretend that they're like us on tour. They try to get those hands up really quick. Well, when you end up doing that, it looks cool, and I know we look cool doing it on TV, but you at home, you guys don't want to do that. That's going to create a lot more inconsistencies. And remember, this is 65 degrees, 65. Most guys on tour aren't playing anything over 62. This is going to get the ball up in the air for you. So what I want you to do is, all I want you to do is pretend that you don't have to hinge the wrists. It's just almost a sweep off the turf. So set up like you would just a normal pitch shot and just take the club back normally and sweep it off the turf. Look at how fast that ball stopped. I mean, that is amazing. And I'm not trying to create speed. I'm not trying to do anything different with my hands. All I'm trying to do is just hit a normal pitch shot. The ball gets up in the air. Look at what happened here with the divot. There's hardly any divot at all. It just slid through the turf absolutely beautifully. Another advantage of the XE1 wedge with the Auto Glide sole. Let's try another one. Again, square setup. Don't have to narrow stance, square setup, weight, pretty much 50-50 to 60-40, 60 on the left-hand side, and just rock the shoulders. Back and through. Sit. Gave that one a little too much and it still spun. The grooves on this thing are absolutely spectacular. That thing is only 10 feet behind the hole. I'm pretty sure most of you can make a 10-footer. This XE1 wedge gets through the turf simple with this Auto Glide sole. You don't need another wedge in your bag to help you out with these shots over bunkers, over little ponds from 20, 30, 40 yards off the green. This is all you need right here, the XE1 wedge. One of the things that I think a lot of amateurs do that throw their wedge game off a lot is that they try to do things that they're not capable of doing within their stance or their posture. And I think that with this XE1 wedge, you don't have to do that anymore, especially the 65 degree. You can stand up to the ball very square. And let me demonstrate exactly what I mean beforehand when you're talking about something that you have to adjust your stance. Well, when you're facing a short shot like this over a bunker from 40 or 30 yards, a lot of you think you need to open up your stance, open up the face, and basically swing across your body a lot. Well, what that's going to do, listen, playing on tour for 10 years as I did, we had all the time in the world to practice. So we got really good at that shot. We practiced that shot hours and hours and hours a day. You work for a living, you don't have that kind of time. This wedge is going to eliminate all that practice time that you need to put in, because with this wedge, you basically just need to stand up, square stance, almost to the point where you'd set up with basically a 40-yard pitch shot square if you were hitting it, if there was nothing in front of you. Your weight distribution, you want it a little bit, almost 50-50 to 60-40. Ball, I'd say a ball back of your left heel, which is normal ball position, square stance, square shoulders, square knees, hips, the whole 9 yards, and make a normal golf swing. With this XE1 Auto Glide sole, your fear of fat shots is going to be eliminated. And in turn, because your fear of fat shots is eliminated, it allows you to get down to the ball. It allows you to go ahead and attack the turf. Attack the turf. And look at that shot right there. Boy, that thing skipped, but I'm telling you what, that is fantastic stuff right there from the XE1 wedge. And look what I'm talking about. So I really attacked the turf, and you can hardly see I hardly took any grass with that last shot. Hardly took any grass at all. That's what this sole does. This sole helps you get down to the ball. It helps you get through the turf very squarely, very consistently, without bouncing. It glides through the turf very easily. You're gonna eliminate your fat shots. You're gonna eliminate your thin shots. This is the wedge for you if you're tired of hitting those fat shots with your buddies on Saturday morning. So I'm sure we've all seen this lie right here at our local clubs or wherever you tend to play golf. Just a slightly buried lie and 2-3 inch rough around the green. Now with the XE1 wedge with the Auto Glide sole, it's going to help you with, especially with the width of this sole. It's good out of the bunkers, we've seen that. It's good off the tight lies, we've seen that. It's good out of buried lies. It's good out of divots. It's good out of just about anywhere. And it's going to continue to be good out of these regular just lies that you get on a regular basis around the green. Now what I have here in front of me is the green kind of pitching just slightly away from me. I've got a good, I'd say about 8 to 10 paces of rough to carry, but only about 15 feet of green to work with. So this is a trouble shot for a lot of you amateurs out here. And what I want you to do is I just want you to, just like we've talked about throughout the whole thing, I want you to set the club down very square. You do not need to open this club up. It's 65 degrees. So you just set it down behind the ball very square, play it a little farther up in your stance, and then I just want you to make a normal pitching motion and be aggressive. Remember, the sole is going to protect you from those fat and thin shots. Be aggressive at the ball. And that's pretty much how it's done. It's that simple with this wedge, with the XE1 wedge with Auto Glide technology. So a lot of you guys at home, you know, a lot of us don't like the rule where you have to play the ball out of a divot. Well, let me try this. Let's put a ball in a divot, and let's see how good the XE1 wedge is out of the divot. Now, I haven't even tried this yet with the XE1 wedge. I've just been hitting this, I've been hitting bunker shots, I've done all that, but I haven't yet hit one out of a divot. So this is the first time for me. So let's see how good this XE1 wedge is out of a divot. And I know this scares a lot of you amateurs at home looking at this bunker, being in a divot, you got no green to work with, over a bunker, trying to elevate the ball. Very, very difficult shot. Open up the XE1 wedge just a little bit, put your weight way on the left side as much as you can. I'd say 70-30. Open up your stance just slightly for this shot, and you want to pick up the hands a little quicker for this divot and come right down behind the ball. I'm telling you what, that is pretty good out of a divot for the first time I've ever hit a shot with this wedge out of a divot. And it slid, the one great thing about this XE1 wedge with the Auto Glide sole, it slides right through and gets the ball propelled straight in the air every time. So you can see what I just did right there with that shot out of a divot. I'd never hit this club out of a divot before, and you can see how well it turned out. Just using normal technique, nothing crazy, a normal flop shot technique, and actually, because of this wedge, I didn't have to lay it all the way open. I just laid it slightly open, picked up my hands a little quicker than you normally would for sure, so you could get down on the back of the ball and get that ball elevated, square up into the air really high. So now, let's try it again. Just to make sure it wasn't a fluke, let's put it in a divot again, and this time we'll let it roll right to the back, almost to the back of the divot, which is the tougher shot, and we'll see if we can pull this shot off again. Now I'm gonna lay it open, same thing, just a little bit, hands behind the ball just slightly, pick it up quick and drop it right on the back of it. I'll take that every day of the week and twice on Sundays right there, folks. That didn't go as high because of where the ball was placed in the divot. When you're talking about getting that ball back farther against in the back of a divot, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to elevate the ball, but that ball is also coming out very soft. And because of the XE1 Glide sole, with the Auto Glide sole, you're going to be able to get through all kinds of different lies around the greens, no matter where you put that ball, including divots, and get it to go through the turf very nicely. You've seen me hit some shots with this thing, and what I really want to explain is there's a lot of wedges in the past that have claimed to do certain things, and they've done certain things okay. They've either gotten the ball out of the bunker okay, or they've produced you, maybe they've produced a wedge that, someone's produced a wedge that helps you not shank the ball as much, or that you can't do certain things, you can't blade it or this. This wedge, I'm telling you, the XE1 wedge, this does everything well. It's great out of bunkers, it's great off of tight lies, it's great out of the rough, it's great out of divots as we just saw. It's phenomenal out of divots. You don't have to manipulate the wedge. You can manipulate or not manipulate the wedge as much as possible. Whereas other wedges in the past, maybe you could only do one thing with it. This you can do multiple things, or you can just play it square and do one thing. It's multifaceted in so many different directions, in so many different avenues, all over and around the greens from 50, 60 yards. You can do a bunch of different things that are a lot of fun, and you're going to have more fun in the process using the XE1 wedge with Auto Glide sole technology. Now you can see we're just in a bunker, and we've got a pretty standard golf shot here. It's for most professional players, this would be considered a very easy shot. But for most of you amateurs out there, I know you guys struggle and have a lot of anxiety in the bunker like this, in a position such as this. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna show you the easiest way to get the ball out of the bunker using this XE1 wedge with an auto glide technology on the sole. You can see, as I've explained before, how wide this sole is. This is what you need, this width right here, to get the ball propelled out of these bunkers with ease. So it's easy to get the ball, the club through the sand, much easier than a standard sand wedge. Now, a standard sand wedge, basically the widest, some of the widest on the market, you're gonna have maybe, it's almost gonna be half of this. That's about it. This sole is so wide, it's able to help propel the ball from any kind of a lie in the bunker to just a couple of feet very easily. And so now there's no more need for any anxiety. So I'm gonna show you how to do it with a 65-degree wedge, square setup. So I am not opening the wedge. I am not going to traditionally use what they call use the bounce. I'm going to use the flange, because the flange is built in this thing to be able to, where you don't have to open up the wedge. So for all you amateurs out there who have a hard time opening up the wedge or understanding how to use the bounce, you don't have to use that terminology anymore. You don't have to use the bounce. The bounce is used for you just by setting up square with the XE1 wedge. Let me demonstrate. Square stance, weight just slightly over on the left-hand side like you would any normal pitch shot. We're gonna hit an inch behind the ball just like you would any normal sand shot. But we're gonna do it with a square club face. It's as easy as that. That's how easy it is your sand play will become with the XE1 wedge with auto glide technology. So a lot of you guys have had a problem with your bunkers maybe at your club. Maybe you played a local muni or a golf course that just doesn't keep up the golf course as nicely as you'd like it, but that's the only place you've got to play. Well, don't let that set you back as far as your sand play. If you got a bunker that's really tight lie where you don't have a lot of sand at the bottom of it, that's what this XE1 wedge was built for. It was built pretty much what I can see specifically for getting you out of these tough spots. Not only tight lies in the fairway, not only deep lies in the rough, not only deep lies in the bunker or real sandy, soft sand, but in this really tight stuff. And the reason it can do that and why you guys struggle so mightily with your bounce in your bunkers in these tight ones, because most of you guys, as soon as you get into a bunker, you realize, you see what we do on tour and you open it up automatically. Well, what that does right here is that puts this leading edge, this flange down into the sand first. Now what happens is when there's no sand there to propel the ball, that's gonna skip across that hard pack and it's gonna take this leading edge and put it right into the ball, and that ball's gonna sail 30, 40, 50 yards across the green because you've got no sand there. You need sand to use this bounce to propel the ball out. If there's no sand, you can't do it. Now with the XE1 wedge, because of the way this sole is designed, this auto glide sole is designed, you don't have to worry about that. You set up square to the ball, you don't have to open it up. Therefore, you don't have to worry about getting that bounce angle, that angle into the sand and blading it. Set up square to it with this 65-degree wedge and just make a normal golf swing. Just like that. It's like cheating. Well, how many of you have been in a bunker and find yourself with one of these lies, what we commonly refer to as a fried egg? I'm going to demonstrate for you guys how to get out of a fried egg, and I'm going to use the XE1 wedge to do so. Check it out. So what we're going to want to do is, when you step up to a fried egg lie, usually buried in the face of a bunker, you want to set your shoulders to the slope of the hill. Just about anything. You know, obviously when it's a downslope, you want to do that. When it's an upslope, you want to set them there as well. The biggest thing with a buried lie, you're going to want to try to get the ball as close to the middle of your stance as possible so that you can hit it even though your shoulders are set with a descending blow. Catch the sand first behind the ball, and you're just going to pop it out. You don't need a big swing for this shot. That's the one thing that people think. This is a half buried lie. This isn't gone completely underground. So with the ball sitting like this, it's going to come out quite nicely. With the XE1 wedge and the auto glide sole technology, it's going to be a lot easier to get this lie and ball propelled out towards the flagstick. So let's give it a shot here, all right? So like I said before, weight towards the left, set your shoulders to the slope of the hill as best you can. Pretty neutral with where this head. You don't want it too far forward, you don't want it back. Pretty neutral with where your hands are to dress. And a couple inches behind the ball and let it pop out. Try it again. Don't need a big swing. I'm still not taking a big swing. Pretty easy with the XE1 Wedge with the Auto Glide sole technology.